You are a tourist on a lovely river cruise in northern Australia. It's a place of stunning beauty, a place with lush mangroves, exotic birds, and what looks like a harmless, floating log. A place where you wouldn't think you're about to become the star of a very short, very toothy action movie. Yeah, this place is the domain of the saltwater crocodile, or as I like to call it, the salty death roll. And unless you have a sudden superpower, you'll be experiencing the perplexing grip of this mysterious predator in a matter of seconds. That is, what's left of you will experience it, because there's no one out here fast enough to pull you back. And what's fascinating about this situation is that you've been warned about it this whole time. Yeah, look at that bright yellow sign right there. The one with the snappy-looking reptile and the words, "Warning, crocodiles inhabit this area." Now you're staring directly at your potential doom. The saltwater crocodile, a living dinosaur in its natural habitat. You can barely believe it's real, but it is. And you don't want to end up in its jaws, but that's exactly where you're going. What would it be like to face off against this incomprehensible apex predator? Well, first, it would take you a near incomprehensible amount of time to process what's happening. The average human reaction time is about 250 milliseconds. A saltwater crocodile strike is faster. It can lunge from the water in less than a tenth of a second, and I don't need to tell you that's fast. To put it in perspective, the blink of an eye takes about 300 to 400 milliseconds. The croc's attack is over before you've even finished blinking. 1 second you're admiring the scenery, the next you're in a world of hurt. Let's say you've made a terrible, terrible life choice. You've ignored the signs, you've channeled your inner daredevil, and you've decided to take a dip. The water is murky, warm, and invitingly calm. But beneath the surface, something is watching. That's your first mistake. A saltwater crocodile can hold its breath for over an hour, lying perfectly still, waiting. It sees you as a clumsy, fleshy disturbance in its territory. To a 1,000-kilogram beast that has been perfecting the art of the ambush for millions of years, you look less like a human and more like a delivery pizza that swims. You won't see it coming. It'll approach underwater, its movements silent and deliberate. The only warning you might get is a slight ripple, a shadow that your brain dismisses as a trick of the light. By the time you realize it's not a log, it's already too late. The attack itself is a symphony of brutal efficiency. You'll feel a sudden, immense pressure. This isn't a bite, it's a cataclysm. A large male saltwater crocodile has the strongest bite force ever measured in a living animal, clamping down with a pressure of over 3,700 pounds per square inch. That's like having a mid-sized sedan dropped on your arm. Bones don't just break. They shatter, they turn to powder. Its 66 conical teeth aren't for chewing, they're for gripping. They sink into your flesh like railway spikes, designed to hold on, no matter how much you struggle. The initial shock and pain would be overwhelming, a white-hot explosion that short-circuits your brain. You wouldn't even have time to scream. The force of the impact alone would knock the air from your lungs as you violently dragged beneath the surface. Now you're in the croc's world, and the rules are different here. Your survival instincts scream at you to fight, to punch, to kick. But what are you going to do? Your fist, meeting the armored hide of the crocodile, would feel like hitting a brick wall. This animal is covered in osteoderms, bony plates that function like a suit of chainmail woven directly into its skin. You're trying to punch a tank. The most common advice you hear is to go for the eyes. It's a desperate, last-ditch move. And let's be honest, in the churning, bloody water, with a prehistoric monster shaking you like a chew toy, your fine motor skills might be a little compromised. Even if you manage to land a thumb in its eye, the croc has a nictitating membrane, a third eyelid that can protect it. It might flinch, it might even release you for a split second, but that's your only window. A window that's closing fast. And then comes the signature move. The one that gives nightmares to anyone who's ever seen a nature documentary. The death roll. The crocodile will begin to spin its entire body in the water with incredible speed and force. This isn't just for show. Its teeth are designed to hold, not to tear. The roll uses the torque of its powerful body to dismember its prey. Limbs are torn from sockets. The sheer rotational violence is enough to cause blackouts and massive internal trauma. You're not just being bitten, you're being put in a biological blender. At this point, survival is measured in seconds, and the clock is ticking down to zero. The primary cause of death in a crocodile attack isn't the bite itself, but drowning. As it drags you under and performs its horrifying ballet, your lungs will fill with water. The fight will leave your body as your brain is starved of oxygen. Consciousness will fade into a murky, silent darkness. So how long would you survive? From the moment of the strike, you might have maybe a minute, two at the absolute most, and that's being generous. The initial bite would cause catastrophic injury. The death roll would incapacitate you almost immediately. The drowning would finish the job. There's no heroic movie scene where you wrestle the beast and emerge victorious. There's just the cold, hard reality of the food chain. You've entered the territory of an animal that has existed, virtually unchanged, since the time of the dinosaurs. It's a perfect killing machine, honed by 100 million years of evolution. You're a soft, slow-moving mammal who just learned how to use an iPhone a few years ago. It's not a fair fight. It's not a fight at all. It's pest control. The terrifying thing is, you don't even have to be in the water. Saltwater crocodiles are surprisingly fast on land over short distances. They can burst forward at speeds of up to 18 miles per hour in a belly run. If you're standing too close to the water's edge, thinking you're safe on dry land, you're wrong. A large croc can lunge more than half its body length out of the water vertically to snatch prey from a riverbank. That's a 3-meter leap straight up. So that branch you were thinking of climbing? Probably not high enough. Your best and only defense is not being there in the first place. Read the signs. Listen to the locals. Treat every body of water in croc country like it's a loaded gun. Don't become a cautionary tale, a humorous anecdote for a jaded tour guide. Because once you're in the water, once those jaws close, your story is over. You're not a person anymore. You're a problem to be solved. And for a saltwater crocodile, the solution is always simple, brutal, and final. You'll become part of the ancient cycle of life and death in the Australian outback. Your brief, chaotic struggle will end, and the river will go back to being deceptively calm. And somewhere, hidden in the mangroves, a living fossil will be digesting its lunch, patiently waiting for the next careless tourist to wander a little too close to the water's edge. You don't want to be that tourist. You want to stay on the boat, take your pictures from a safe distance, and go home with all your limbs intact. Because in a showdown with a saltwater crocodile, you don't lose. You just cease to be. The survival time isn't a measure of your strength or your will to live. It's just the length of the crocodile's victory lap.